Welcome to the Midlife Men podcast with me, Philip Briscoe. In this episode, I talked to John Houston, the founder of the South Moreton Boxing Club and home to the Cornermen, a service aimed at improving men's mental health and suicide prevention in Oxfordshire. He tells me how the Cornermen is reaching men downstream before they hit catastrophe, providing much needed support, and how doing something and talking, whether it be walking, talking or boxing, is the key to getting men to open up. I'll then talk to Carl, who was diagnosed with PTSD, about his life and experiences and how the Cornermen has helped him to improve his mental health and find his own cabin in the woods. Today I'm pleased to welcome John Houston from the Cornermen at South Moreton Boxing Club. So welcome, John.
Thank you.
So John, perhaps you could start by introducing yourself and introducing the club.
Yeah, well, my name is John Houston. I'm the head coach and the founder of South Moreton Boxing Club. We've been here in South Moreton for 17 years now. It's coming up to our 17th birthday in a couple of weeks. We're a white-collar boxing club. We also do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We do lots of general fitness classes. You know, we do things from yoga, kettlebells, circuits, all that sort of stuff. We run 38 classes a week. We're open from 6 in the morning till 9 at night. So we're a very active, focused gym. We do a lot. We do competitions. We have everybody from professional down, but we have most of our people just want to have fun and get fit and do something a bit different.
And tell me about the Cornermen.
The Cornermen is a project that I started with about nearly a year ago now. The first germination of the idea came to it. And basically in here, you know, over the years, I just found that particularly after lockdown, people always talk to you when you're doing pads with them, when you're training with them. There's always a break between training because the type of training we do, it's like, you know, boxing is like, you can imagine 2 hard minutes of something and then a minute break and then 2 hard minutes of a minute break. In that minute break, lots of people talk. And, you know, you get develop really good relationships with people. And, over the years, developed a lot of very valuable relationships with people. And after lockdown, I just found a lot more people were coming in here. And it is predominantly men. We're probably 75% men in the club. And they were talking a lot more about PTSD, about depression. We've always had the classic things, you know, divorce happening to people, life crises, business failures. And a lot of people have said to me after these things have happened, you know what, you kept me sane through that. You know, the training really helped me. And I was kind of surprised in a way that they would say that, you know, because I suppose to me it's just a normal run-of-the-mill thing that we always do. But I sort of took that and I sort of thought a lot more people are presenting with these sort of problems and these issues. I wonder if there's any way we can formalise what we kind of informally do or seem to informally do. And so I approached Steve James, who has been a long-term member here at the club. And I knew Steve James worked in support work. He was the chief support worker at Emmaus in Oxford, did amazing work with the homeless community there. And, you know, he's just one of those people that has a good essence about him, you know, a good soul. He's easy to talk to, just a really nice guy. And I said, Steve, you know, is there any way we can formalise this? He said, funny enough, I've been thinking about exactly the same thing. I wanted to sit down and chat with you about some sort of local service that we could put together, to maybe utilise the club or utilise the things that we've got to provide that. So we sat down and we had a few brainstorming sessions and we looked at different areas that we might be able to provide support for people with, you know, with addiction or with, Steve's obviously already comes from that background with homelessness or mental health problems or everything else. And where we also obviously looked at our local area, we looked at where the club is based and we looked at the need that we saw in the local community because we wanted it to be very community focused. And we just thought there's men's mental health and suicide prevention we didn't think was adequately covered. And that was kind of brought home to me by an experience in the club. A chap joined here who was ex-forces and had been out in Afghanistan and was obviously suffering quite badly from PTSD. He made a suicide attempt and he went to his doctor and said, look, I've got young children, got a partner, but I've done this. I don't want to do it again, sometimes the thoughts overwhelm me and I don't know what to do. And the doctor said, okay, right, no problem. You've made that attempt. So we're going to put you on a course. It's going to be a Zoom course. You'll go in about 8 months' time and you'll get some tools to maybe deal with this way of thinking. He did, make it to then and he did the course and he said, look, the course was interesting. It was useful, but I want more. I need more. And the doctor said, well, I'll put you back down again. It'll be 18 months till the next course. So this is a person kind of in crisis and, and I'm not obviously slagging off the NHS. I'm just saying that the resources aren't there to direct this sort of stuff. And some of these people need this kind of instant help. So that really focused me on that need. And so me and Steve decided to start a service aimed at mental health and suicide prevention in men. And we were talking earlier, and we said, oh, it's a men's space, then a men's charity, but I don't see it as that, because 75% of all suicides are men. That's why we're focusing on this. Women, incidentally, make more suicide attempts than men, but men are more successful. Now, there's intricate ways as to why that could be, but the thing is, the women have to pick up the pieces. So the ramifications of the children left, the ripples out from a suicide are phenomenal, economically, socially, personally. And of course, the person who does it doesn't realise that at the time. They're totally isolated, and they think it's going to be better if they're not here. But it is generally women who pick up the pieces. So hopefully, like I say, we're getting these men downstream before they hit catastrophe and before the women have to pick up the pieces. So for that reason, I do see it as a women's charity. So me and Steve got together and we thought about what we could offer and what the resources we had and what we could do. We saw that as a need, and then we came up with the idea of using the club. We thought, well, what we're already doing, in effect, is in a way providing an unofficial counselling service for certain people. And we're utilising the benefits, which are are manifold and which everybody knows about if you are depressed, to exercise and get those endorphins going. So we thought we've already got that, but we need to formalise this in place a bit. So that's when we got Steve on. We thought if we had Steve here as a full-time support worker, utilising the club and utilising that exercise, but not just that, also having the ability, the capability to talk to people, because I didn't want to formalise that for myself because I'm not trained professionally in that area. I'm maybe a good amateur, but I'm not trained professionally. So if we're going to actually say this is an official service, we needed someone like Steve in place with the relevant qualifications, the relevant understandings, plugged into all the other services that are around there, and to understand people's needs. So we had the idea, and then we came up with the idea, we're using the boxing club of the Cornermen. And the idea of the Cornermen was, it kind of fitted very well into the analogy of what we were trying to do. Essentially, if you're a boxer, you have to fight. You are out there on your own in the ring against your opponent, and you have to fight, and no one else can help you. But there is someone in the corner who can advise you that you're doing the wrong thing, who can advise you what the right thing to do is, who can advise what to do, when to do it, and so on, and kind of looks after you and gives you that advice, and then sends you back out into the fight where you are on your own. So we can't do it for you, but we can help. So we like that analogy of the Cornermen, because as our sort of strap line, life's a fight, and everybody needs someone in their corner. Definitely at certain times. So with that analogy, we decided to formalise it, call it the Cornermen. And our first port of call was to try and raise some money, because we knew, we have the club, we have the infrastructure in place, but we don't have the expertise, which is Steve, and Steve can't work for free. He's got to pay his mortgage and look after his kids and everything else. So the first thing was our first cost of Steve's salary. So the first thing we did went out and crowdfunded, because we thought we'll talk to people we know, essentially our club community, to say we want to do something for the local community and we think this will really help. We outlined, what we were doing. We put out videos and all that sort of thing. And we managed to raise £12,000 just through the generosity of 90% of club members, but other people as well. So that kind of gave us a start. And then from there, we went out to the National Lottery, who gave us another £10,000. The local council have been very generous. So we've managed to raise enough money to pay Steve's salary for the first year. So we're able to launch the service. Steve had to give 3 months' notice at Emmaus, so he worked that, and then he came over here in November and started the service formally, formally in November, and we've been running since then, and it's been going great guns since then.
Great. And can you talk me through, once somebody comes along to the club, how do you work with them? What can they expect?
Well, people can self-refer through the website, or we do get increasingly referrals from local GP practices or people who have appealed to other people and said, men who have said they're feeling suicidal or, have in a bad state of mental health. What they do when they come here very much depends upon the assessment that Steve makes when they come here. We've talked about the facilities we've got. We find that it breaks down a few barriers if you're hitting a few pads and then having a chat. Like I said before, the exercise is good. And then, Steve can use his expertise to talk to you as well. And we've got a backroom office where Steve will go and, ask you a lot of questions about your life and how you're feeling and why you're feeling like this. What do you think has brought you to this position and what made you get in touch and all that sort of thing. But you've got to understand that some people aren't up to boxing. They don't want to box, and some people, who are really depressed, it's difficult to get out the door. It's difficult to make an appointment. It's difficult to keep an appointment. All these things seem quite impressive. So the way we've structured the service, in our logo is a black cab. So we will go and pick you up. So we will go and pick you up from the door. Steve will pick you up from the door and drive you back to the club. Now, in that instance, it's a good time to talk because, like I say, men don't really talk well face to face. So what we do is that's an initial opportunity for conversation. You're not looking at each other, you're just talking. Somebody's driving you in a cab, and we all talk to cabbies, especially those of us that lived in London. So we've got that initially. Then you come in, you'll have a little assessment and chat with Steve, what do you want to do, etc., etc. We've got the option then of doing a workout, and talking during the workout. But some people might just want to go for a walk. We're lucky that we're in a beautiful part of the country. There's lots of nice bridle paths off around here. Just go for a walk and a talk. But you're walking and talking, you're driving and talking, you're training and talking, you're doing something and talking. And that's the key, we find, to getting men to open up and talk. Now, the fact that they've made the appointment means they want to share something. But we find that it's much easier than sitting down, plonking them down and saying, what's your problem then? It's not like that. It's let's do something. Let's do something together, and maybe I can help. And then Steve is brilliant at pulling those things out of people, and also pulling out things that might help. Things that maybe changes that need to be made, or things that he can do, or places he can refer you to help you with issues, whether they're the symptoms of the problems, or whether they're the cause of the problems. But we can kind of get to the root of it.
Why do you think a lot of men find it difficult to talk about their problems or express their feelings?
I think there's a lot talked about toxic masculinity at the moment, and I'm not very keen on that phrase because it links masculinity with toxicity all the time. And I just think there is such a thing. I know what people are talking about, but the problem is the two words become intertwined. There's nothing wrong with masculinity. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be a man. There's nothing wrong with wanting to look after your family, with wanting to provide for people, with wanting to to make people safe and look at all that sort of thing, look after people. And so I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. But I think there are certain expectations on men that are placed on them during their life, which can, if they can't fulfill those, can become very difficult. And they become very difficult to talk, particularly to other men about it. And other men should be the people you're talking to, because these are the people going through the same thing. But you feel, from the outside looking in, his life looks perfect. And, I don't see it. So how can I go to him and say I'm failing at the things that you're doing well at? How can that? So there is a culture, I think, particularly for men, not to talk, which women don't have. Women will talk, very freely amongst each other about their relationships, about how they're feeling, the key things that underlie their mental health. Relationships being a particular key, and men don't feel the ability to talk about that, particularly those failings within those key areas.
So if somebody wants to get involved and come along, what do they need to do?
Look at the cornermen.org. All our contact details are on there. Get in touch with Steve, email or phone, and he will make an appointment. You can either pop down and see him, or he will pick you up. And that's how you approach the Cornermen. It's very easy, very relaxed. Like I say, everybody's got different needs. We have people that are coming a few times a week to use the service. We have people that come once and don't feel they need to come again. We have people that come once a month. It's very much horses for courses.
John, thank you very much. We'll put all those links on the website, and thank you.
Great, thank you.
I'm joined today by Carl, back at the Cornermen. So, Carl, welcome.
Welcome.
And Carl, perhaps you can start by telling me how you've tended to be involved with the Cornermen.
Well, a few years back, I got diagnosed with PTSD, quite severe. When the doctor done my tests, he didn't even bother telling me how high I was. He said, we need to get you help ASAP. And it was virtually while we were having a conversation, he was making phone calls for me to then have a counsellor. That obviously kind of upset me, finding out how his reaction to my diagnosis and how quick he wanted to get me seen.
Did you find that, surprising?
It rocked me on my feet, really.
Did you suspect that?
I had no idea that I was suffering with PTSD whatsoever. It was just a question of things were happening at home, bit of short fuse on stupid little things. Major things just sort of didn't seem to bother me. It was like, for argument's sake, that something like switch the light off, or just little things like that, or when somebody's washed up, and they've put the cup standing up rather than turning it upside down. It's crazy little things like that. Would get me.
And did you recognise in yourself that was, unusual or perhaps an overreaction, or did you not really realise what was going on?
Yeah, it's a little mixture of both. Why have I just done that? All right, yeah, and then just carried on. And then Sarah sat down with who's my wife. She says, "You're just not your normal self, are you?" And we got talking. I was bawling my eyes out. I'm not ashamed of it. You've got to have a release, and that kind of sort of helped. She said, "Right." She said, "Obviously, get you down to the doctor and find out." My dad came with me. Doctors done a few tests that he'd given me to do, and hit me with a bombshell. Oh, that's the problem. I then got within appointments with Oxfordshire Mental Health Plus, who are absolutely fantastic. The guy there was just like chilled and just let me, when I wanted to do something or say something, it wasn't planned. It was just, we've got this time. And then as we had a few sessions, he said, what I'd like to do, if it's okay with me, is to start you off on a timeline. Can you remember events back in the past that might have upset you? I think the earliest one I had, and I've spoken to Steve about this, is children were playing in a park. There used to be one of these like wooden banana boats. They used to sort of, not rock in a circle, but used to rock at a slight angle. And they jumped off it, and for some reason or other, whatever I was playing, I got hit in the forehead with it. Could that have been a start of something? Can't really tell. So the guy from Oxfordshire Mental Health, so I went to the next phase. Anything else traumatic? Lost my grandfather who I was quite close to. I was about 14. Okay, that's what Mark used to call a jack in the box. That's quite traumatic, losing grandparent, So then moved along. The next one was car accident. Going through court, I found out that I wasn't actually speeding, but due to the weather conditions, I put my brakes on too hard behind the vehicle that come off a building site, so my windscreen got covered with mud and rubbish. Wiper blades were going. I saw brake lights and I just hit. That's down to my inexperience of driving at the time. I just went past the vehicle and then hit an oncoming vehicle. It's a hard to believe story, but it is a true story that I actually hit a car that got 4 priests in it. So it was either it was time to go, or they were there to save me. Obviously, didn't realise at the time until obviously impact was made. And I was laid out of the car, and I think adrenaline and heartbeat must have gone way out of its normal zone when I saw one of the priests coming over me with his hands coming down towards my head and neck, and I was gone. I was unconscious, and the next thing I know, I'm in the back of the ambulance.
It must have been a very surreal moment for you.
Looking back on it, yeah. At the time, it was just like, oh God, who's that? Oh, it's a priest. Because I can't remember anything else. But now I'm waking up in the ambulance and went, oh, where'd the priest go? I was like, looking round, and the paramedic went, oh, he's back with us. I remember him shouting to his colleague, and I kind of like, oh, everything's okay. And it was just like, back to going unconscious again. And then I woke up in the hospital. A couple of hours later, or so, might have been towards the evening, 2 paramedics actually came and saw me. And he's like, unbelievable. And then told me that, I'd hit a group of priests in their car. I was like, oh my God. I said, I actually do remember, started having a little bit of recall, but nothing after seeing the priest come down towards my head and waking up in the ambulance. And he said, well, we've been to a lot of RTAs. He said, keep wearing your St. Christopher. He said, because normally, 9 times out of 10, that would have been, you've been in a bag and doing some of the paperwork. That's a killer nut with a jack in the box.
Do you think you processed that at the time?
No, you just kind of thinking, lady in hospital, why do I hurt so much? So like the pain went, and I think it was probably just shocked like that. But once I'm out of hospital and started carrying on with life, you kind of think, what a funny moment. It's I survived it. You kind of think, oh, it's not my time to go. So, you know. So I had a big incident at work where I had first aid. I had to do CPR. There was somebody that was only newly qualified, less than a week, and got called to the incident, and they were started having. So yeah, it's kind of like, let's take over. Let's just do what we're supposed to. We then had a first responder turn up, who just happened to work on our site and was going home, but he had all his kit with him. So we were trying to save the person. We had the paramedics turn up, explaining to them what situation we got here. But we've done CPR several times. We've got him back. He's kind of breathing, but now he's gone again. We had that happen a couple of times where he's gone to sit up, kind of side spoken to us, and then just gone again. We later find out from his employer that he got a heart condition that they barely knew when he was in hospital. At the time, the ward above was my wife, who was suffering with a blockage for the lungs and heart. She'd had an operation. It then caused her to have a blockage. So yeah, that was, dealing with him and knowing that she was in there wasn't on my mind while I was trying to deal with the patient. But that kind of all goes back to when we had to get the ambulance out to my wife. We got her to A&E. The doctor just said to me, give it another half hour. You'll be signing some different paperwork. I thought, yeah, my wife's just laying in bed by the side of him, doc. You went, oh, sorry. That kind of sort of shocked her. That's all right, it's just one of those things, we're all human. And that's then what Mark refers to as another jack in the box. And then you sort of carry on in life, but something can trigger your memory. I can't say what, because your mind will just go back there, and I'll start popping open. And in my experience, when it pops open, you don't know what you're going to get. I don't even know what I'm going to get. When I get to that point. Sometimes, after having a bit of a relapse, I had several months off. Well, I had half a year off work. And a couple of months back, I had another bit of a relapse. Sometimes you can feel those triggers coming. Sometimes they'll just hit you. But hopefully, when you get hit by that trigger, you'll have some way of getting some help. That's the biggest thing I can say to anybody. Can't really tell them you've got to, but in my experience, that's the best thing to do. It sometimes needs that person in front of you who's trained and can understand what you're going through, but it's not necessarily something in the here and now which triggered you. Could be something in the past. That's what we refer to those jack in the boxes. When they pop open, it is a pop open. There's no sort of like little slowly opening and you can go, push you back down. You've got to be aware of, we're heading somewhere. I'm not going to put my hand on the box because I'm not going to go down there. I'm going to stop where I am. And then, rather than leaving it too late before you get to that trigger point, because you really don't want to have to go through that bit again, you've got to try and be strong in yourself. Got to be strong, and with other people helping you, you can't just let them help you. You've got to do it yourself. It's only you know what's going on in your mind and how you feel. You can say something, but are you actually feeling it? That's like our fight and flight mode. It's right with a flight. I'm going to blag it. I don't really want to tell you that I'm bad, or the hell with it. He's there with you to try and help you. If he's trying to help you, you've got to help him and give him the absolute truth, no matter how much it hurts.
Did you feel a sense of relief when you were told that, look, this is PTSD, this is why you're feeling the way you do?
Yeah, I was just like, all right, I now know what it is. Can you now tell me about it? What can we do?
So would you say that was a pivotal point for you?
It's getting the diagnosis.
Getting the diagnosis, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And then what happened next, and how did you get involved with the Cornermen and Stephen Shaw?
That was just by chance. My wife Sarah was just scrolling through Facebook and went, yeah, you always sort of want to go out on your bike and everything and go for a walk, but you're always alone. So there's a South Moreton Boxing Club doing a thing with men with mental health. I went, All right. What exactly? She said, they used to do like chats and so I help you around the gym. Oh, okay. I'll get in contact with them. Got in contact with Steve. Great bloke. Nice and friendly. That approach, you can talk. It's just sometimes nice to, like I say, this has now become my little cabin in the woods. Everybody needs it, whether it's a hobby, just something to have to yourself. That's not a selfish thing. We all know how hectic life is, paying bills, working, solving problems. So right from the very start, when you start working, there's some form of stress already embedded into us or becomes part of our life. And I think the quicker we can get to realise that, it's Monday. Why does everybody say it's bad on Monday? Should we go to work on Tuesday and go, it's Tuesday. And what do you get by Friday? Oh, thank God, it's Friday, it's the weekend. And then you've got 2 days off, you think, I'm back to work on Monday. Where's your happiness in that?
How's the Cornermen helped you?
It's just great to sort of, rather than go out on a bike ride or go swimming or walking, it's just great to have sort of an environment where I can get myself, fitter. I think sometimes when you get fitter, you become stronger because you think, oh, God, I can't lift that weight. Well, don't lift that weight. Lift something that you can. And after you've done that, you then, I think I might go. Okay, there's your first positive, even without somebody saying anything to you. Well, I've just said to myself, I'm going to go up another 7 kilograms. Bang. Oh, yeah. I've done 7 kilograms. All right. It's only 14 kilograms on lift. Doesn't matter. You started off with 7 was enough for you, first of all. You've got to see that as a positive, that not like, I'm getting stronger. Yeah, you are getting stronger, but look at it as you've achieved something. Rather than just going through life as like, I've got this to do. Well, that's done. Move on to the next one. Right, that's done. Oh, done it quicker than I thought. Pound back yourself and, might lift your spirits up. It's like a challenge, but it's an achievable challenge. It's just that you've got to do it.
The support you get here and what it does for you, is that complementary then to the support that you've had from the...
Oh, definitely. After going from being at the doctors and saying, you've got PTSD, and then learning about PTSD, you become more aware that, things like firefighters and police officers, when have they been diagnosed with the stress that they sometimes go through, or the sights that they may see? When you confront something like that, you can't not forget it. But here, it's just nice that I can have that little bit of me time, my cabin in the woods, and if I want to talk, if I want to hit the bag a little bit harder, just to get rid of a bit of stress, I can hit it. It's controlled. I don't end up in trouble, basically. It's somewhere where I look forward to going. It's like, because I work a shift pattern and I have 4 days off, obviously me coming down here isn't a regular time, so it's different days. So hopefully I might see different people. It's always nice to see Steve, because we have a little chat, and for some unknown reason we always end up on food, but it's not healthy when you're in the gym. But, and then it's, you then kind of get asked, there's a person that, think you might want to speak to who's quite interested in. The more people that are diagnosed with mental health can be brave enough to talk to other people about it, they've got the opportunity to, they should. But I think that's one of the real problems with mental health. It doesn't matter whether it's PTSD, anxiety, depression, whoever's suffering from that, the first step has got to be contact with either a professional or hopefully they've got an understanding family. Luckily enough, with myself, it was my family. After having sort of conversations later on down the road, with like my dad and wife, so you weren't your normal self. We know why now.
So if I can take you back to the beginning of the interview where you were talking about how you were getting frustrated, angry at small things, what advice would you give other people feeling the same or in a similar situation?
It's just to try and take a step back from the situation. Don't let it get out of hand. You kind of have to go through hell a little bit with yourself. I don't mean hell in a nasty way, but it's kind of like self-healing, but you've got other people there to help you. providing other people realise that, you know, you just sometimes need that little check. You know, everything okay? How's your day? Oh, everything, you know. So, yeah, I felt all right, you know, no problems really. You know, you need a conversation with somebody, either close or professionally, or very good friends, just to have like little chat. Be aware of any warning signs. Once you've been diagnosed, hopefully you'll know the warning signs. I won't say it's like walking through a minefield, you know, for the rest of your life. You know, if I go there, you then start worrying about stuff. You just got to carry on as normal as possible, but then just realise that if something goes wrong, you know, at home or something, like you spill milk or something like that, don't make a big thing about it. It's an accident. Whose fault was it really? It was nobody else's other than your own. You know, I'm not saying that your mental illness that you've been diagnosed with is yourself. There might be there's obviously circumstances that have put you in that, but once you've been put in that, be aware of how you got there. I mean, that's the most important thing. Be aware of how you got there. It's like I always say to Steve, if you're a broken crane, you can still colour. And there's a little important message within that. With broken, there's the letters O and K.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you for sharing your story.
It's a pleasure. You know, like I say, the more people that have suffered with it and dealing with it, and can talk about it, other people out there, you know, might be more mindful. It's just one of those things that we can't always have it in the front of our mind. Be considerate, be kind to other people, because it's just nature how we are, you know. I wouldn't say it's an extra thing to think about. There's kindness in all of us. There's helpfulness in all of us. It's whether we choose to open that door. And thankfully, I've got a lot of people that are willing to do that. And I've said to Steve, if, you know, there ever comes a point where this starts outgrowing, I'm more than happy to put my own time back in, because that's how strong I feel about it. You've helped me, so I'd like to show I'm in a good place, show other people that I'm in a good place, and I can help you. You know, when you walk through that door, yes, you're going to be scared, but you can only really be scared of something you know. If you don't know anything about it, how can you be afraid of it?
Thank you. Okay. Hopefully your story will help. Great. Thank you. Thank you for joining this episode of Midlife Men. If you would like to find out more about the Cornermen at the South Moreton Boxing Club in Oxfordshire, you can visit their website at www.thecornermen.org, where you can email info@thecornermen.org, or you can call Steve James on 07552 189 548. If you have a suggestion for a topic you'd like us to cover in the podcast series, or indeed if you've got a story you'd like to share, then please contact me either on Twitter @MidlifeMen, or email me at midlifemen01@gmail.com. Join me next time where we talk to other midlife men about their stories. Maybe they'll resonate with you, and most likely you're not alone. Thank you.